Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and you already know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. That's because I make it that way. And there's another really good reason it's a groovy day, because today is Life Mastery Radio Day. Yay! I get to hang out with my good friend, Jackie Bailey, and her and I find you some amazing guests that are on the cutting edge of their own becoming and helping other people step off of that edge into their own becoming. So that's what Life Mastery Radio is all about, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And as always, I have my co-host with me today. I already introduced her, but I'll do it again. Jackie Bailey. Hi, Jackie.
Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope everybody had a safe work.
Week of 4th of July. My birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, everything's 4th of July because I just love the 4th of July.
So what did you do?
Oh, family, barbecue, and of course, fireworks. Got to have those fireworks. No parade this year, but the parades are coming back. I don't know. Did Redmond have a parade?
No. Redmond did not have a parade. But I was curious about your cannon. Did you shoot your cannon off at all?
You know, it's been a couple of years. I had kind of an itching this year.
Yeah.
My cannon's not behind me. It's somewhere.
Probably.
I had kind of an itching, but it is so loud.
Yeah.
And it just scares my animals. I have 2 dogs, 2 cats, and 7 chickens. And I just, I haven't gone there, but maybe next year, one time. It's kind of cool. It's very loud.
It is very loud, but it's fun. I mean, you got to have it for the 4th, right? It's just there.
I set it out. It's a centerpiece, that's for sure. But yeah, I just don't stick a fuse in it this yet.
Yeah.
How are things at the Speak Feed Lead project?
You know what? Summer is a little bit easygoing. Yeah, and that's okay in some ways, but also we're ramping up for our fall classes, and I met the most adorable little girl yesterday who's 10
That's what you're telling me during the pre-show.
She wants to give a TEDx talk. She's 10, and it's like, this is what I'm aspiring to do. And so I'm really excited about helping her craft that message. You know what? I love to work with kids that are ready to roll.
Yeah.
You know, some kids come to me because their parents have said, here, go speak better. This lady will help you, right? And then there's some kids who go, Mom and Dad, I really want to give a TEDx talk. I want to speak better. I want to do this or that. And those are the kids I love working with because they are ready. And they see how beneficial it will be to them to be able to do something like that. So it was really exciting talking with her. And I think we're going to have a really interesting and fun time developing her very unique message.
And you must be getting ready for your TEDx talk. When is that? In August, right?
Oh, it's the end of this month.
Yeah.
I know, it's the end of this month, and I'm focusing an hour a day just on practicing my speech over and over again, adding little more things here and there. I'm actually speaking on Saturday to a group to get some feedback, and then on Tuesday next week as well. So I'm starting to present it live, just to get used to having an audience in front of me.
And how long is it?
It's 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I even ordered a little prop today from Amazon that I need for my presentation. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I had to order a little prop.
Right.
And that's in San Diego. So excited about getting there. You know, there's lots of little ins and outs about TEDx that you don't know. There's actually a dress rehearsal. So you have to, usually it's the night before, but in this case in San Diego, it's a couple nights before. So you have to wear the same clothes that
Wow.
you're going to wear when they do the live show, because it will be recorded in the rehearsal, and they do that in case there's any technical issues on the day of. So at least they have your speech recorded. Maybe they mishmash a little bit once they do all the final editing of it, so maybe
Hmm.
different angles and things like that. But it's quite a production. I didn't
Yeah.
realize. And you have to give them your script and tell them where you're going to stand at certain parts, because they want to make sure the camera is on you all the time and
Well,
spotlighted.
last I understood, you couldn't move around. You had to stay in one spot.
There's a 6-foot diameter red dot, and you have to stay on the red dot. So, but you can move anywhere on the red dot, but you have to stay. It's like a piece of carpet most of the
Right.
time. So you stay on the red carpet, which is good because you've got the TEDx sign behind you anyway. So if you
Right.
move out of sight of that, you're not going to get the beautiful image of the TEDx letters behind you. So there's all reasons for it. But all those little technical things I had no idea
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Very
Yeah,
cool. That's exciting.
it
Well,
is
we'll
exciting.
stay tuned to that. If you are interested, if you have a little one that has a great message and you want to open them up to a whole new world, Google Jackie Bailey. JackieBailey360.com, speakfeedly.org. If you just Google Jackie Bailey, you'll come up with a plethora of Jackie Bailey stuff. So check it out.
Yes.
I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.com. And you can go there. Any links that we talk about, we already have a link to our guest's website. So www.lifemasteryradio.com, and today's show page, there's a link right there. It will take you to her and you can connect with her. And anything else we talk about today will be posted there. Jackie will have a blog post later on this week about today's show. So if you want to get more insight or you missed something, you can always go and review. Both of our books are there. Click on our books. They'll take you to Amazon. You can buy our books, and make sure you leave us some love and tell us what you think about our books. What else am I missing? Oh, sign up for the newsletter. While you're there on the website, you can sign up for the newsletter. Jackie produces a newsletter once a week. It highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and of course, her blog post about the most recent show.
Yeah.
So check it out. Okay. We have a wonderful guest today with a great message. And I do believe this is Jackie's guest. So that means she has the introduction. Take it away, Jackie.
Honor of introducing our guest, because we're going to be talking about a very important subject today. It's important for our kids, it's important for young adults, and even for mothers and fathers out there who are dealing with things in so many different ways. So, Kayla Douthitt is our guest, and she is an anti-diet advocate, body image transformer, on a mission to support parents with tools to help their child overcome low body image, negative self-esteem, and eating disorders. Kayla herself struggled with anorexia and binge eating for 10 years. She is now fully recovered, yay, and knows what it takes to heal from the inside out. Her techniques help children and adults ditch the diet through intuitive eating, ways to obtain a better mindset, and healing toward body acceptance. Kayla is the CEO of Wisdom and Wellness, the host of What's Eating You podcast, and the creator of Dangers of Dieting workshops. We're going to be talking about all of that today. Welcome, Kayla Douthitt. It's wonderful to have you with us.
That sounded really good. Thanks for sharing that.
I know, isn't it fun when you hear your introduction? It's like, wow, yeah, I am kind of cool.
I need to post that everywhere. Thank you. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you're coming to us from Kentucky.
Yes. Y'all be ready for my accent.
Beautiful area of the country. I think I've driven through it, but haven't spent too much time there, but definitely want to sometime soon.
I've lived here my whole life, so it's there's a lot to see. There's a lot of stuff that I still haven't seen in Kentucky, so it's pretty though.
Yeah, nice. How often have you been to the Derby?
Just once when I graduated college.
Okay.
And it was like, it wasn't even the Derby, it was Oaks. So it wasn't Derby day. It was a couple days before. But
Right.
it was really hot, but it was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it probably a lot of standing around and waiting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I didn't really know how to bet on anything. So I was just walking around like, what do I do? But it was fun. They gave us tickets. I went to University of Louisville. So they gave us tickets for graduating, and I got to go. So that was
Oh,
fun. I
cool.
just had
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Once in a while, we have a racetrack here in the Seattle area. And once in a while, my husband will go. And just a few weeks ago, we never bet, but I just love to look at the horses. A few weeks ago, they had this competition between some of the Native Americans in the Pacific Northwest, including some in Canada. And so it's a relay race. So these tribes or bands, depending upon whether you're in US or Canada, will compete. They'll send their best riders and horses, and then they stage these horses in different parts around the track. And then these riders dressed in their Native American garb, which is really cool in itself. And sometimes the horses are even painted. They'll start on one horse. And when they get to the next post, they have to jump off that horse, jump onto the next horse, and run to the next relay center and do the same thing. And it is so exciting, but very dangerous too, because if you don't quite get on and you fall off the horse, you have to worry about other horses coming in at you that are going to run over you. So it's exciting and a little bit dangerous, but that was fun. I love to watch the horses race.
I like that. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that, Todd? You ever been down to Emerald Downs?
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah. They
I haven't been to Emerald Downs. I think I was at Long Acres once because there was a machine that was broken and they called me to fix it.
There you go.
I'm not a gambler by nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Kayla, tell us a little bit of your backstory so that we understand what brought you to this point in your life where you're helping people with eating disorders, or mostly, I think you said during the pre-shows, helping them find love for themselves.
Yeah. So a little bit about me is kind of what we said a little bit in the introduction is I had anorexia and binge eating for 10 years. I first started with a diet when I was 15, but before that I was kind of always comparing myself to other people. I played softball, so I thought I could run better, I could bat better, I could pitch better, just kind of looking for little things that I wasn't good enough, those kind of mindset that just kind of made me want to change. So I thought I could lose weight, and I started a diet. And then the dieting kind of really was a power struggle, I guess you could say, or a perfectionist, because I had a little perfectionism traits anyway. So I thought, oh, I'll skip a meal. Nobody will know. I'll skip lunch. Okay, next day I'll skip supper, or I'll skip breakfast, or and then it started changing into sometimes a week without eating anything. I would tell people I wasn't hungry or I already ate. I would drink a Diet Coke to fill me up, but I wouldn't really eat anything. And then on the other end, after not eating, I would binge eat because I was malnourished. So I was starving for anything. Yeah. So I just kind of went from, anorexia to the binging back and forth. Like I said, for 10 years, didn't really talk about it all through high school, through college. And then about 8 years ago, went through some recovery. And really within that 4 or 5 years have I been fully recovered from any kind of dieting or anorexia or anything like that. And I always use the term, I practice what I preach, even with my clients, because I still have to hold myself accountable with eating and body image, self-care, all these things. But I was a girl that just didn't talk about it, didn't really know how to handle it. My parents didn't really know how to handle it.
Did they notice though? I mean, so maybe talk to us about the parents, because I know you're working with a lot of parents these days, but what did they see and what could they have done?
Yeah. So I think they knew that I was struggling, and they just either didn't want to see it or they just didn't know what to do. Like my parents, they've never really struggled with eating anything. My mom's diabetic, but she's never really had any eating troubles other than maybe diabetes. But they didn't understand the full thing because I didn't open up. So I would tell them things like I would say, oh, I've lost, 2 or 3 pounds, but I knew I lost, I'll say 10 or 15 pounds really. Right. Because I didn't, I weighed myself at least 10 times a day, maybe probably more than that. Wow.
Wow.
That I didn't tell them, and then they just didn't know. They thought it was a phase, oh, she may get over that, or because it did. Sometimes I was normal, and sometimes I was really underweight, and then I would go back and forth. And then just letting them, not telling them, that was, the biggest thing is just not telling them the full story. When you're going through eating disorders, it's constantly in your head, like, what am I going to have the next meal? What did I have yesterday? What should I have done better? It's just a constant in your mind all day. And I didn't tell them that either. So with parents, they just didn't really understand. My parents didn't understand what to do.
And Kayla, it might help if we can define some of the terms. And I may not be familiar with all of them, but let's define what anorexia is. And there's also bulimia, which is probably a little bit different. And then there's binge eating. Is there anything else? Is there another term that would be helpful to define?
There's orthorexia. There's a thing called pica. I'm probably missing some, but I know there's one that I can't think you don't like certain food. Like you eat like dryer sheets. I know that sounds weird. But
okay. I've heard of that. Yes.
Right now. But there's different variations. And I think there's one that's all eating disorders specified. Like they're not really sure if it's kind of a disordered eating, but it's not really an eating disorder. It's kind of in the middle. So I can't think of what that's called. But there are several different types. Anorexia.
Yeah. So let's start with one of them. Which one can we define first?
I'll start with anorexia. That to me is just not eating. So choosing not to eat, choosing to skip the meals and be fearful of food. All eating disorders have a little bit of fear, with food in some capacity, whether it's emotional or those, but anorexia is where you just don't eat.
Is there also, with that fear, is there also a little bit of control that's a way you actually control your life, and in other ways you can't control, but you can control what goes inside your mouth? Is that a big part of it?
It was super controlling for me. I would keep Post-it notes. I worked at a shoe store in high school, and I took Post-its everywhere, wrote down this many calories. Oh, can't have that. Scratch that number. There was no text. There was cell phones, but there was no, I didn't have an iPhone. I had like a flip phone. I call it a fish phone. But I don't know exactly, but I didn't have, the calculator on there, but I would write it on Post-it notes and just, like you said, try to control everything. 1 minute to the next. And if I didn't, I would be really panicked or depressed or angry. There was a lot of anger in my eating disorder. I was a happy person, but with that, I was super angry, and probably just because I was not eating anything, I was just emotional about everything, and you didn't want to be around me, really.
Yeah. Okay, so anorexia is basically self-starvation.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and then what's the next thing we should define?
I'll just say binge eating because I'm familiar with those, but the binge is, uncontrollable eating, just kind of hiding. Like I hid food in secret, being able to, eat and eat until you really lose that hunger. You don't even know that you're keep eating. You don't even know what you're eating. I know I used ice cream and peanut butter and everything sweet when I would binge eat because my body wanted something, but sugar mostly whenever I was binge eating. But just uncontrollable eating is the best way I would describe it, is just constantly eating. And then orthorexia is where you choose to be super healthy. Like you're so, you wouldn't eat a French fry. You only eat the very clean foods.
Okay.
Wouldn't eat McDonald's, or only eat clean, super clean. And then pica, I believe that's the one where you chew it and spit it up. I might be saying that wrong, but where you chew it and then you don't really swallow it. And I wish I
could kind of like wine tasting. You put it in your mouth, swish it around, and then spit it out, right?
Yes. That would have been a lot better than there's a lot of
so it is self-starvation, but you're at least getting the pleasure of taste for a little bit before you spit it out. Okay, that's interesting. And then bulimia. What's bulimia?
Bulimia, where you purge, binge, and like you could either binge and purge it back up, or just eat normal and purge it back up. Okay. Just really throwing up your food. I tried that, but I could not do that. I could do the other two pretty well, but I could never do that. I tried laxatives, and I tried several things, but I could not do that. I guess I just didn't know how.
Yeah. Okay.
So you continued on with this behavior. I'm going to call it a behavior because I think it's a behavior. And you went all through college. I think you said that you went for like 10 years. And at what point did you become desperate that this wasn't going to work? Was there desperation involved, or did you just realize, look, I can't live like this anymore?
I couldn't live like that because I was having panic attacks. I didn't really know what they were. They felt funny. I was more depressed, and I also wanted a kid. I couldn't have kids at the time. I got married, and I felt stuck, and I was really just, I didn't know what to do. But mostly the panic attacks is what woke me up, is just having that panic attacks and not knowing how to control that and not knowing where it come from, because I would just be driving down the road and they would just, hey, there's a panic attack. I have to pull off the road, calm down. And then, they woke me up some. And then just wanting that, I knew I couldn't go to Christmas if I would never be able to go to holidays or birthday parties or anything because I was so fearful of that. So I wanted to feel, I'll say normal again. That's like the word of the day, but just to feel like I could go to a family without being scared.
Yeah. So when you say that you couldn't get pregnant, is it because you stopped menstruating because you had no body fat? Is that
Yes.
so it kind of stunted your maturation a little bit then as well?
Yes, I say that I should have been taller. Maybe I should have been 5'8" instead of 5'4", but I messed up being tall.
Yeah.
um, yes, I
Wow.
did. I had female athletes triad, where I didn't have any periods for several years, and then
Mm.
my hormones, they weren't there because I was exercising like multiple times a day, and I didn't have any estrogen or any other hormones to even help have a baby. So I had a lot of trouble with that.
Mm. Wow. And so
Interesting.
you must have been really thin. Did you feel like you still needed to lose weight?
All the time. Like I
Mm.
remember the lowest I got, which I know some people may not, but it was 96 pounds. And I remember filling the bathroom. I'm open about everything. So TMI for everybody that watches this, but my spine would hit the toilet seat whenever I would sit back, and it would
Mm.
hurt. And
Mm.
I thought, I still have a stomach. Oh, I could still lose some of that. Or my hip bones would stick out, like with my shorts. I was in like a 00. I remember
Oh,
Aeropostale was
wow.
like a big thing, and I would wear, my skinny pants, and I would thought I was too big. So
Mm.
other times I'll say, kind of like I am now. So there was underweight, normal, a little overweight, if you want to look at it like that, or just different variations. My husband was with me during that eating disorder, and he said, I've had like 10 different girlfriends in 10 years. So he's seen me through all of that.
Wow. Okay, so you got married before you realized I need to stop this.
Yeah, when we got married, I wouldn't eat my cake at the wedding. I remember everybody,
Mm.
you take the bite of cake and you do the whole thing. I would
Right.
not touch that. I had to, be perfect in my wedding dress, and I lost weight again for the wedding because I didn't want to be
Right.
big at the wedding. And it
Wow.
really stopped, I say, like a year or two after we got married. And that's when the panic attacks really got worse.
Mm. Wow. So what was then what did you have to do to start getting better? Because it had to be psychologically already sort of an addiction. So how did you break that addiction behavior?
So I
That,
seen, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that was kind of my next question too, but I'm curious. Did you reach that point of desperation where then you asked for help, or did you search for help?
I think my mother-in-law came over when I had a panic attack. So she's retired, and she was like one of the only person that could actually slap me in the face in a way. Like she looked at me, basically she would have slapped me in the face without slapping me, because she was like, "Are you done? Like, are you serious? What are you doing? Are you living
Mm.
like this forever? Are you serious?" And just kind of very blunt, very to the point. And I was kind of like deer in headlights. I didn't know what to do or
Mm.
anything. But I think from that point, I just knew I needed to try something. So I started going to therapy, and then I started going kind of on a journey. I always say, like, my own journey of a lot of self-development, personal development, a lot of inner work, a lot of meditation that I'd started to learn how to do, and a lot of different things.
Mm.
Uh,
So what are
So
the go ahead, Todd.
I was just going to say, so those loved ones, your husband, your mother-in-law, your mom and dad, obviously, they knew there was a problem, but there was really no intervention up until that point. Is that the deal? Wow.
Yes. That sounds, and my mom, she says all the time, it's my fault. I'm like, it was never your fault. You can say
Right.
it was never her fault. She just, honestly, she had no idea. But
Yeah,
yes.
she didn't know what she didn't know. I mean, I can see that. And that's
Yeah, clothes can hide a lot. So, you can look thin, but you also look really great, right? Because you can fit in
Everybody
about
praises you
anything.
when you lose weight at the beginning.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, you've lost weight. How did you do that? And of course, that's the highlight of, the very beginning of the new year. New year, new you. Oh, let's go on and all that stuff that I just want to,
Yeah.
but yeah, they kind of, the panic attacks and her just being blunt and just telling me straight up, we got to fix this. And then I lived in another place when I first got married, and there was a therapist right down the street. So I went there once a week for a long time, for a little over a year. And then I started doing my own inner work, and there was no eating disorder clinic at the time, not where I'm at. I'm sure there was other places, but we didn't really know other places. And a lot of times with eating disorders, insurance doesn't cover things, and it's a lot of red tape. But anyway, I seen some therapists, and then I found my own intuitive eating type things and read on that and how to eat again, and just a lot of work, but it was worth it. So
Yeah, intuitive eating is a new term for me, and perhaps it's new for other people listening. Would
I've
you
never
mind?
heard it.
Yeah, would you mind explaining what that is?
sure, I always explain it eating like a baby. So going back to like when you're a baby, to that first, bottle, knowing when you're hungry and when you're full. And I did not know any of that. I lost all my senses. Like I didn't have any, I was living by a calculator and a post-it note and all, those things. And I just didn't know how to eat. And I had to go back to the basics of how to learn if I even liked pizza. Was I eating a salad? And, I didn't even know what that was. I didn't know what that felt like. And I say like a baby because babies know, they know when they're hungry, they know when they're full, they'll spit up, all those things. But I didn't know what that was. So for someone new to intuitive eating, that's like the most simplistic way to explain it is like a baby,
Okay.
honestly.
And
That's
is that something that the therapist helps you to do, or is that something you discovered on your own?
On my own. Actually, I was going to different self-help books and eating disorder books and all these things on Amazon, and I found that, and I didn't think it would work. I was like, what is this? So I bought it anyway, and I remember I had my highlighter and I was trying to like understand what they were talking about, but I just read and I just tried to learn, and it took me 3 years to actually even implement all those steps and try to actually know how to do it again. Yeah.
Interesting.
fascinating. I know for me, I don't think I have that switch because no, I'm I have to eat, right? That gives me energy and everything. But I'm not sure where that switch is that tells me when I'm hungry. Does that make sense? My weight stays stable. I obviously am self-regulating, I know, but I don't feel that thing called hunger. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess now I didn't at first either though. So I would ask my husband. I was like, "What does that feel like, or what does it feel like when you're full? Does it feel like you just had a buffet or Thanksgiving, or does it feel like What is that? I think that a lot of people struggle with knowing how to tell when they are hungry because they're
Right.
used to eating in front of the TV, or they just grab a quick thing down the drive-through and they're like, okay, they don't really tune in to that part of themselves. And that's
Yeah.
what you have to learn to do, is just tuning into that feeling. And it's all about feelings with intuitive eating, learning how to kick the police. They call them diet police, kick them out. These different things that you have to retrain yourself to learn again.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
Sounds
mean, you have to learn how to listen to your body, right? Because somehow you lost touch
yes.
of those sensations, the physical sensations that you get from eating, and that it's for you, it became fearful. Became a way for you to have control, and it was no longer pleasurable. And so you missed out on those sensations in your body of tasting something delicious and getting pleasure from that, and then feeling the the energy that comes from eating something that nourished you, right? So it's really interesting that you have to start like a baby. So what was one of the first things that you put back in your mouth? And did you have to think about, did you hold them in your mouth for a while and just enjoy the taste of things, or was it more just like, I gotta just get this in? How did that work?
Trying ice cream and Quest bars. those are like the two. Maybe they'll sponsor this video if Quest wants to. No, it's ice cream and Quest bars because I haven't had, like, other than binging on it, I didn't really allow those things or any of the, chocolate. I love chocolate now, but at the time I only binged on it. So ice cream. And that's what scares people at first because they're so, or at least it scared me because I thought, I'm gonna get fat if I eat just ice cream, or I'm gonna do this if I only have a Quest bar. And what am I ever gonna eat healthy? Because it didn't feel like that at first. It felt like everything was like all over. And that's what, but I think that your body has a way to learn how to trust you. If you learn to trust it, you can learn that there's times that you want ice cream and there's times that you want a salad or a green smoothie, or there's times you want watermelon because it's summer, it's hot. And I don't know, just things that you really learn about yourself in the process. It just takes a little while.
Yeah. So what does your daily meal planner look like now?
So as a mom now, I have a toddler, so I try to prep a little bit more than I used to because I'm like, I don't want to spend all day on the stove and try to cook and clean up after him and clean up all this. So I just try to. I'm still better at listening to my body, but like I eat a lot of fruit in the summer, because it's really humid in Kentucky. So a lot of pineapple, watermelon, those things. And I love green drinks, like green juices and things. And I love that. I know it's healthy, but I don't label that anymore. I mean, yes, it's great for my body, but I just look at it as it helps my body. And it's not, there to harm me, but it's also helping me feel better and have energy in those things.
Right.
It's healthy, but I do love that. And I still love chocolate though. So I love dark chocolate and almond butter pretty much every day.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you still have the tendency? Is it still there in like the back of your mind that, I mean, when you go to eat something, do you still have those thoughts like you used to, or have you pretty much overcome it?
Sometimes I'll say, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing that," and I'm like, "No, why can I not have that? What's wrong with it?" Like if I go to the grocery, so sometimes I'll say I'll pick up a loaf of bread, and I'm like, "Oh, I should probably get the healthy bread." Then I'm like, "No, I can have this bread. It's not, I have to walk myself through it every day still. So I'm not perfect by any means. I just learned how to manage that thought. So like replacing that self-talk. I use that a lot, but like replacing those thoughts. And that's still what I do. I still have those moments of wanting to eat a piece of pie and knowing that I should have a carrot. And I'm like, I want the pie. It's fine. I can have a carrot tomorrow.
There you go.
But
did you throw away your bathroom scale, or was that part of overcoming the fear to see your weight start to come back on your body? Was that scary for you?
It was scary. Yes, I kept one, but I don't use it anymore. I mean, I might once in a blue moon, I may step on there, but I try not to do that because that is a trigger for me. I know everyone's trigger is a little different, but that was a huge trigger. I learned that it's a number, and it's gravity holding me to the ground. I'm not going to be stuck there fearing that number anymore, because if I allow myself, I could easily weigh myself right now or tomorrow and all these things, but that just triggers me. So I try not to do that very often.
Cool. So you got yourself in good enough shape that you were able to conceive a baby.
Yes. Yeah. It took me a while. I didn't think, like I said earlier, I couldn't have one. And then definitely a surprise for everybody, but it was a good surprise. But yes, he'll be 3 this year, but I got my hormones back. I was able to, learn how to carry a baby, and that helped a whole other thing about being, body image and pregnancy and all these things that actually helped me heal even more. Mom has helped me a whole lot in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Cool.
So you mentioned, you asked for help and you went to a therapist, and so he obviously helped you to unlock some of those rooms that were dark and creepy inside your mind. But you also talked about some tools that you began to use. Maybe you could clue us in on those a little bit and just exactly how those helped you.
Sure. So with the panic attacks, I didn't know how to quiet my mind. I've always, and even now I'm like a busy person by nature, like call me like ADD for a minute, because I can easily get busy and like overthinking. But doing meditation, so that was one that I really had to start implementing, and learning how to sit still, because with anorexia I wanted to move and burn my calories. Like I wanted to keep standing up. You wouldn't sit down in this chair. I needed to stand up and never sit still. So meditation, learning how to lay down or sit up, and 20 minutes of not doing anything but just being still. So that really helped me with my mind and my body and everything. And then journaling, I've always loved to write, but just writing down everything that came to me, good thoughts, bad thoughts, anything.
So how long has been your process here, Kayla, from when you realized you needed help, something needed to change, to where you are today? How many years has that been?
So 8 years. And like I said, really within this 3 to 4 year after having my son, and maybe a little bit before having him, have I been truly healed. I know I have my little moments, but overall, 9 times out of 10, I'm a totally different person when it comes to like I said, holidays or anything. I don't fear that anymore. I can actually enjoy sitting down and like talking, and not worried about Thanksgiving or what my mom fixed and bringing diet food. You know, I can actually have a conversation and not worry about just the food.
Yeah, nice. Okay. And so what do you do now that teaches others what you've learned?
So I really do. I love doing things like this, just talking to people and just kind of relaying the message about how to help them, learn to talk to people, because that's what I didn't do, is talk to people about it, opening up and being okay with telling somebody that you're going through, even if it's not an eating disorder. Maybe you struggle with, like I said earlier, comparing yourself to people on social media, or you look at yourself and you think you're fat because you can't get into those jeans that your friend wears. Just being able to do talks with people at schools. I do a lot of things at schools. I have a podcast, like we said earlier, and then I talk to parents about how to communicate with their children, how to be able to, speak openly and let them know that they can trust you. I do a lot with mindset, and like I said earlier, self-talk, a lot of different components. But because I know with the eating disorder, it was not just eating. I know a lot of it had to do that, but there was a lot more that I learned along the way. So I just, really
during the pre-show, you talked about self-care and self-love. And I think you made the comment to me that those are the basics, because everything else will follow. And maybe explain to us what you've learned about, or what you talk to other people about those things, because that is big. I could see where lack of self-love and self-care would lead you down a path of those kind of disorders.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have any self-care or self-love. I was a people pleaser. I love helping people. I'm an actual helper, I guess you could say. But there's times that I never took care of myself. I was always trying to take care of everyone else. I didn't know that I could make time for myself, because I didn't have that practice. I didn't know how to, like the meditation thing. I thought that would be selfish. I thought, I don't need to do that. I need to be doing something else, or not. I said sorry all the time. I mean, that was like too much in my vocabulary. Right. So I learning how to take time for myself was a really big component again too, is just learning how to have that moment of self-care, even if it's doing nothing for outside and just watching the trees, just taking that moment for myself, and not apologizing for it, and realizing that I deserve that, especially with being a mom now. I learned that I need that time. Lord knows I need a lot of times. sometimes a lot of times. Self-love too. Yeah, that's a big one, is just learning where I'm at right now is okay. You may not be where you want to be, but you can always get there, and just taking that moment to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, then it's hard to, love anyone else.
Yeah. So do you, are there any recurring health issues because of the way you mistreated your body earlier in life?
I've had a stomach digestion, so I've had to learn a lot about how to heal the gut, like how to do. I love making the bone broth, and I'm gonna make kombucha tea this year, homemade. I've never made that.
Oh, cool!
A lot of like stomach. I still kind of struggle with like being bloated a lot. Certain foods triggered a lot of bloating in me. Those things, and then that's the biggest one, honestly. And then no food allergies. I thought I had a gluten intolerance whenever I first started to eat. I've kind of overcame some of that. I just started implementing little food here and there, but mostly just the stomach. I just have to be really kind of cautious on certain foods. I still try to eat them, but I just know that certain foods don't don't feel well in my stomach.
Right. Yeah. And again, that's part of self-care and self-realization that your body's telling you something,
Yes.
right? And you have to stop and listen to what that's communicating, and take steps to make it better. So I think that's a great indication that you are healing and that you have healed, because now you do notice those things in your body that you perhaps didn't notice before.
So what are we missing? Is there anything we're missing, Kayla, as far as your experience and what it took to get over that? Because then I wanted to get into how you're helping people today, but is there anything else that comes to your mind about that whole experience that we missed or stepped over?
Those are the biggest highlights. I feel like those are the biggest takeaways. If people could take anything away, I feel like that I would want them to take those. Those are the big ones. Yes.
So when you were comparing yourself to others, it wasn't because of outside. There weren't people saying, "Gosh, Kayla, you're so fat," or "Gosh, Kayla, you should be able to wear these jeans," or "You should be a size 4, you should be a size 0." What? It wasn't things like that. It was in your own head thinking, "I need to be this," or "I need to be that." Would that be
Yes.
true?
Self-sabotage all the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Because there's probably kids who do live with the outside pressures,
Yes.
but perhaps most of the time it's just that inward, "I'm not good enough." That's that thinking, "I'm not good enough. What can I control to make myself look better or different?" And food is an obvious thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And exercise. Do you still exercise today?
I'm a walker, and I'm going to try to lift some weights again. I haven't done that for a while just because it sounds kind of fun, but I don't do anything crazy. I kind of like to dance. I'm definitely not a dancer, but I think that, I can kind of dance a little bit sometimes, but I don't do anything strenuous. Nothing that if it doesn't feel good, then I'm just going to not push that today.
There you go. That's good. So why do you think this is a prevalent problem with kids? Because I know that you work with kids, you also work with their parents. Why do you think this is a problem, and how can we help be part of the solution for something like this?
It's a problem because I think, like I said, they're talking about it more often, but they're just not talking about it enough. And I know we said before the show, just a lot of the social media things that has a huge impact on kids. Just that comparing themselves, that their kids went on a vacation that they didn't get to go to, and they're wearing this bikini, or they're doing this and they're not being able to do that. Just parents need to be aware of how that could trigger their kids. Just being able to recognize that, they need to not be so connected all the time. It's okay to be disconnected some, get away, like walk outside, do something else, but just knowing that, letting your kid have space to be a kid. Don't put that pressure on them. Try not to put that pressure on them to be perfect. If they're not getting an A on their test, don't beat them up about it. Tell them, oh, well, maybe you should have studied a little bit more, but don't put that pressure that they have to be so perfect at everything. If they fail, they'll learn something. Let them fail once, and maybe they'll, learn the lesson to not stay out all night. I don't know, those little things that I think sometimes as a parent that they should watch out for their kids. This could be a sign, that can overlap other things later on.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because I was just thinking, if you could go back in time and tell your parents something, what would you have told them? Right?
Yeah, I would tell them, I was always trying to be perfect in school. So I guess that's my good example, is I always wanted to make good grades. And I did. I'm not, trying to brag about that, but a little bit. I was always trying to make good grades, and I'd done the right thing, and I was the good girl, but I would tell my parents to let me mess up. Just let me mess up one time. Don't just let me fail and see what happens. Or just let me, I'll say, I don't know. I was never a girl that went out at late at night, but like if I went out one time and see what happened, like let me learn my way, I guess you could say, because I was always trying to be too perfect at everything and trying to please them and everyone around me. And I didn't do well with messing up.
Yeah. So Kayla, I think what I hear you say, and this might be important, I might actually be ready to say something really brilliant,
Okay, let's write that.
is that for parents, we want to make our kids feel good about who they are, right? And we think that by helping them to perform well, to get good grades, to have opportunities for greater things, we think that by encouraging them to do that, that's going to make them happy. But not that those things are wrong, but what I'm having this epiphany about is that perhaps, like you've learned to do and listen to your inner self, what we need to teach our kids more is to listen to what is it that makes you happy?
Yes.
What is it that you want to be? What is it that you want to excel in? What is it that you don't like? Or what would you rather be doing than this?
Right.
And so rather than pressure our kids to do this, be that, get this, whatever, we need to have more open conversations about, well, what makes you happy?
Mm-hmm.
What did that bring you joy? If it didn't bring you joy, what do you think would bring you joy? Am I revealing something awesome here, or is that something that you already do? Probably something you already do, right?
I think that's really awesome. And yeah, I think that's an important thing that they just, like you said, it's important that you do. No one wants to see their kids struggle. Like they don't want to just, oh, my kids, they're fine. They don't want that. But allowing them, like you said, to find themselves and what they like, just because you're a doctor or a dentist or a lawyer and your kid really wants to be an astronaut or a train or a conductor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very nice thought, but just anything that they, try to find themselves, because I didn't know who I was at that time. Going back to high school, I would love to go back to high school and hit the repeat button. But now that I can't, I just want to just tell parents that, like you said, let them find their way and don't push everything on them to where they need to just be something that they're not.
Yeah. Listen to the inward voices.
Yes.
Teach them to do that, right?
Well, and I think let them be them, right? And for sure let them be kids. And I've read a lot lately about there should be an age like 15 or something, I don't know exactly when, but that should be the cutoff when you get a cell phone, right? Or when you have access to all of that social media that's influencing. They call them influencers for a reason, because they influence people, and that's what social media is all about.
Yeah. Well, I think so many of these celebrities these days are almost like cartoon characters.
Yeah, it's coming.
They're kind of over the top in the way they look. They're over the top in the way they act. And that's what our kids are seeing. And so everything, if it's presented as a cartoon, then they go to the extreme behaviors to reach that pinnacle of whatever that is, right? So there is a danger in who we let our kids idolize.
Yes.
And maybe we need to ask questions about why do you like that person? Why does that person, why would you like to be that person? Or what do you think it means that person looks that way or acts that way? Why do you think they do that? So Kayla, I'm certain that for you, it's about conversations with parents and kids, right? So tell us about some of you have the, what do you call it? Your dangers of dieting workshops. Tell us about what goes on there.
So just opening up to parents, just letting them know why they shouldn't diet, like the dangers of what it could cause. Eating healthfully is one thing, but what could be if you're eating too healthfully and you're, again, not learning how to pay attention to your body, or these things that, like, I was the girl that pushed back the lunch plate. Like, we had a salad bar and I would be all about some salad, but if you had pizza and corn, I'm not going to touch it. So they would have, just the things that parents really need to be aware of. and letting them know the warning signs and just some symptoms and just some overall dangers of how it can harm them. I know there's, like I said, there's special diets. My mom, obviously, she has to eat a certain way because she's diabetic. If you're gluten intolerant, there's certain things that people have to follow.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that. But if there's a danger to dieting, what it could become if it's not handled properly.
Right. Yeah. Very important.
So you have a website, people can reach out to you, you do one-on-one coaching. What could I expect from your coaching?
Well, I'm a little bit crazy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not crazy. No, I do a lot with, parents all over the world. Like I said, thanks to Zoom and things like this, just one-on-one conversations, just opening up about how to help their kids with mindset, how to do the positive self-talk, really everything I've learned along my way of giving them the basics of, like I said earlier, intuitive eating, what that looks like for them, why it's important, and then just going over how to manage that after, what happens after the eating disorder, what happens after they heal, how to have it for life, how to handle it, how to do the holiday parties, kind of everything that we've talked about today in a bigger capacity, a bigger realm. I have said capacity, I think 15 times. I think I've said that a lot, but just a big overarching umbrella, we'll say that, of just how to help them have a better life, away from dieting and away from their eating disorder, and for parents to be able to communicate and to be able to be alongside, not help. If the child's not ready, I was not ready for a long time. So if they're not ready, you can't really make them get over it. They're not going to.
That'd be tough, huh?
Yeah. They have to be ready as well. Like the child has to be willing to work with that parent, because we do a lot of activities together, and the child has to help the parent do the activity because they're, the one with the eating disorder. So the parent has to help the child learning how to write a self-love sentence, an affirmation, if you want to call it that, things like that, that just helps them help the parent heal as long as well as, I can't talk, as well as the child.
Yeah.
Any success stories?
Yeah. So I helped. Sure. So a lady a while back, actually, this was just, I also work with just one-on-one individuals too. So if it's not a parent, a lady that was 25, she had bulimia. So helping her be able to not purge anymore was a big deal for her. It took her, I think she had it for 12 years. And she purged and she didn't know what was going on. Her mom's kind of similar as my story. She didn't know what to do. She called me. I was in a shoe store one day, and she seen a flyer. Funny, but she seen one of my flyers I put around in my community, and she was asking for help, and no one knew what to do. She talked to doctors and everything, and she didn't understand. So we worked together, and she was able to not have bulimia. She stopped purging. She stopped weighing herself. She was able to go to her sister's wedding without, fearing to wear that dress, just little things that were really big things.
Yeah.
But it felt really great to see her change in that time that we worked
together. How long
together.
did it take? How long did it take for her to get better?
She was ready, I think, the day that she called. And that's what I always tell people, like, if they're ready, you'll know. She called asking for help. So it took her 5 months, 4 months to, stop the bulimia. She would do a little bit here and there, but to completely stop, 4 months. And that was really fast.
Wow. That's amazing.
That's very cool.
You've got a book coming up.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Yay. How exciting. We'll look forward to that. Where do people reach you? I think we've got about a minute left. So Kayla, where can people reach you if they have a child who needs help or if they need help themselves?
Sure. So I always have a self-love discovery call. You can find that on my website. It's wisdominwellnessky.com. You can sign up there, or you can wisdominwellnessky@gmail.com. Just send me a question. Say, hey, you want to have a one-on-one call. It's the first one's free. It's an hour. So just kind of a get to know you type of call. And then also just you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Yeah. Good for you.
Very cool. Any last words?
No, I appreciate you guys having me, and hopefully we can help some people. And I think the more people know about this stuff, the better. So I'm excited that you all had me on the show.
Yeah, what a great smile too. You have such a beautiful smile and a great presence. And You know, that story you told about helping that woman, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, that I just got goosebumps when you told that story, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, thank you.
Any takeaways, Jackie?
Well, I just want to thank you, Kayla, for not only sharing your experiences, but helping people to get healed from their own experiences. So I love it when we see survivors like you that come through the fire and then are willing to help others put out their own fires. And I really appreciate that about you, because I know that I work with kids who probably have some of these issues, and now I know someone I can call when when I don't know, what I should say or what's the next step. So thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
That's how we change the world, one step at a time. That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you will tell a friend about the show. And I hope that if you have a loved one or know somebody in your life that has these kinds of challenges, you'll reach out to Kayla. Kayla, she's not hard to find. Just Google her. Go to lifemasteryradio.com and check out today's show page. The link to her website is right there. Lastly, please, please, please make it a great day, because as we learned today, it's all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.